got a bit of music news for you here. Let's get into this. Steely Dan, after the passing of Walter Becker, are now, according to the Hollywood Reporter, in a little bit of a legal scenario. Essentially, Donald Fagen has gone ahead and filed suit against Walter Becker's estate, and they are fighting over the Steely Dan name and Steely Dan's catalog. It's not as cut and dry as some of the other sort of legal battles you've seen in the past. Of course, the stuff that happened with Prince lately has been epic between his family members and the vault and the record labels and all that stuff. This is a little bit different. In 1972, Steely Dan and all of its members signed what they call a buy and sell agreement, which means that if a band member quits or dies, Steely Dan, the group, buys out all of that member's shares in the group. As Fagen and Becker were the last remaining shareholders, by this logic, upon Becker's death, Fagen would own the group in its entirety. Now, wouldn't you think that's the point? When you get down to two, you eventually are going to get down to one. I mean, when they signed this back in 72, they should have known that one day it was going to be down to one. According to Fagen's suit, however, Becker's estate disputes the terms of the contract. Let me see here. Fagen and Becker were the only remaining shareholders and signatories to the buy and sell agreement by the 2010s. Attorney Lewis Skip Miller. Can we trust an attorney named Skip? I just don't know. I don't want attorneys to have nicknames, period. Don't you feel that that's a little awkward? Like, I don't know if attorneys really should have nicknames. You know, your softball team could have nicknames. You know, the delivery guy could have a nickname. Even accountants could have nicknames. But a lawyer, I'm not quite sure. Anyway, Louis Skip Miller noted in the complaint, 4 days. This is harsh. 4 days after Becker's death on September 7th, 2017, Becker's estate sent Donald Fagen a letter stating, and I quote, "We wanted to put you on notice that the buy-sell agreement dated as of October 31st, 1972 is of no force or effect." The estate's letter went on to request that Becker's widow be made an officer of Steely Dan and given 50% ownership of the band. So essentially 4 days after Walter died, his estate, his family, his wife, turned around and said, this agreement that was signed back in 72, we're not honoring this. And we want to be made 50% owner of the band, so on and so forth. So Donald Fagen has filed suit. In his lawsuit, Fagen also asks to be granted access to the group's website, which he claims is currently being run by Becker's estate. Fagen has also filed a separate lawsuit against Steely Dan's management firm, Nigro, Carlin, Siegel, Feldstein, and Bolno, over accounting records that have allegedly been withheld from him. So it sounds like there's been some shady activity going on there in the Steely Dan world. Of course, I was super surprised to find out that they were going to continue touring. They've already done a whole handful of shows in October. I thought they would have let that set for a little while longer, but Donald wanted to go back out. I get it. I thought there would be a little bit more of a waiting period, but I get it. Remember, Walter wasn't at those big East and West shows with, Fleetwood Mac and all that stuff and the Eagles. Walter was sick. He didn't attend those, so that was a Fagen-only Steely Dan. So I understand them wanting to continue. They had a tour planned already. They had some shows with the Doobie Brothers. Okay. They went on and did the tour. They wrapped it up, and Fagen said he wants to continue. But the fact that you start hearing all this stuff now, and you're like, it just breaks your heart a little bit, doesn't it? Like, why does there always have to be these things? This buy-sell agreements. I'm not a lawyer, as you can tell by the fact that I'm here every day from 6 to 10. It's not like I'm lawyering on the side. It seems like it's pretty cut and dry. And if you wanted to make any sort of changes to this, it seems like it was something that had to be done, at least with the consent of Donald Fagen, as he was the only other one to be affected. Now, who knows? Does Fagen have enough to buy out that remaining share? Because when 1/5 goes out, it's easier for 4/5 to absorb 1/5. But when you're absorbing 50%, like what's the value there? Do they value their entire back catalog? Are you valuing future earnings via touring? I really don't know what goes into this, but I do know when somebody makes a move like this, there's some lawyer somewhere telling Walter Becker's wife and family, no, we can win this. We can do this, this, and this, and this, and this, and we can get this. Or we can drag it out, or we'll kill Donald with legal fees and blah, blah, blah. Like, there's all sorts of that legal garbage that takes place. So nobody's hopping into this thinking that they're going to lose. So that is something to be worried about moving forward. So I don't know if there's going to be a Steely Dan box set this Christmas. I don't think so. I wouldn't think so. Not this Christmas, at least. Not until they figure all this out. But it just breaks my heart. And it's the heartbreaking thing really, though, the thing that really, really bugs me is the letter was sent 4 days after Walter's passing. Like, we've all lost somebody important to us. Hey, who's thinking about this financial stuff 4 days after, it happens? Now, I understand that Walter was sick, so maybe there was a little bit more time to prepare for this sort of thing, but still. And that kind of bugs me even further because Walter was sick. So, at some point you'd think he'd be thinking, well, you know what? Let me square this away. Let me get Donald on the phone. I know we had this agreement, but blah, blah, blah. I want to make sure my family's taken care of, more so than just getting a lump sum from you up front to buy my shares out. Can we work something out? Can we, old buddies talking. The bond was always Walter and Donald, even throughout, even back in 72. It was Walter and Donald, really, were the hardcore. And, back since they started, up again in the mid-90s, and really started taking off again, it was Donald and Walter all the way. You'd think they'd have been able to reason this out ahead of time, but the fact that they weren't able to is super, super sad.